We're live now. We're live on Facebook. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this edition of our Octopus Series. Today we'll be looking at the topic. We're still on our series of Eye for Detail, and we'll be looking at the topic event selection. I guess we are ready for this today because it's quite an important aspect of the events industry. And to take us through this class is the CEO of Trade Event, Isabel Speed. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Isabel Spiff. Welcome to another edition of the Octopus Series. Today's topic is Eye for Detail, venue selection. Like you would agree with me, venue selection is one of the key points in any event planning process. Your venue may determine a lot of things like decor, like the number of guests you can have at your event. It just helps with detailing some other stuff, some other items on your checklist. So we'll dive straight in. When you're selecting a venue, there's lots of decisions you have to take, and we have some steps that will help you make a wise choice of venue. First up is your budget. How much do you want to spend on your venue? You want to decide that, ask your client that, let them tell you what their budget is. The budget will determine what venues you are going to be looking at. The budget will determine if we can accommodate XYZ number of guests in that venue. So if your client says, I have 100,000 Naira, I have 1,000,000 Naira budgeted towards my venue, then you know where to look at. Your client may also have different requirements. So when you're looking at that particular, when you're looking at the choice of venue with your client, you want to consider your budget. So the budget will help you narrow down to which venues you should be looking at. You can't go looking for an upscale venue when your budget is not so much. So you want to contain yourself and keep to your client's budget. Then second on our list is your target audience or your guest size. So how many guests are you expecting? That should help you with your venue selection. You want to look for a venue that can accommodate your guests or the guest size comfortably. You don't want a venue that's too large or a venue that's too small. If a venue is too small, then you are easily going to notice. You're going to see people standing up. You're going to see tight spaces because you'll be struggling to put in more chairs and all of that. That's the does not look well. Just look for your guest size. You're also going to consider what you're going to be having, your catering points, if you're having a lounge, if you're having a bar, all these different spaces, all these different items require spaces. So you want to all this other little detail. Sorry, that was just a glitch with the 3 analysis, the target audience. So I said if you have an exclusive guest list, you want an exclusive venue. So you'll be looking at maybe an upscale hotel or resort, something to make your high-end exclusive guests feel more comfortable. So they wouldn't want to be having to deal with things like parking, things like going home late. So if you have such an exclusive event, you may want to do it in a resort or in a nice upscale hotel where they can sleep over after the event, where they have parking and the security and there's all of that. Then again, the venue capacity. So that will match, we had already talked about the guest strength. So the venue capacity would also match your guest strength. You want a space that would accommodate everything, your guests, your caterers, your bartenders, your band, everything should have its own apportioned space. So don't just go looking for a venue to contain only the guests. You have these other details, catering. You want to have service points. You got different things that require spaces. So accommodate everybody in that same space. Whether it's indoor or outdoor, you have to get, if it's indoor, you want to do smaller canopies or smaller pagodas to accommodate like your bar, like your drinks or your service points or a lounge. Nobody can predict what the weather will be like, even though we have weather watch and weather news. You can't say for sure if it's going to rain today, but you do not know what kind of rain, if it's going to come with heavy wind and all of that. You may want to wing it and say, oh, I'll do a big tent. But what if it comes to really horrible winds and it blows that away or blows rain into the tent? It's safer to have an indoor venue. Select an indoor venue when you are doing events during the rainy season. It's always better. It's always better. So climatic conditions will be top of your list when you're selecting a venue. If it's in the dry season, you can freestyle, indoor, outdoor, whatever the weather. But if it's if where you're going to use is, for instance, a very dusty, you may want to consider an indoor venue. So number 6 on our list is to the hall. Come in to a place that's easily accessible, good roads, center of town, just somewhere that you can access easily. I had a bride years ago who said to me, her hall was quite a distance from church and in another part of Port Harcourt. And her mom said to me, she said, well, those who will come for me will come. And well, the hall was really tightly packed. A venue that is easily accessible, good road, center of town, where people are not afraid to go to, because if your event goes on for some time, well, maybe well into the evening, people don't want to feel apprehensive about security or, oh, this is a lonely road or this is a lonely area. Let it be at a really good, convenient area for everybody. So these are things you want to consider when you are choosing your hall or selecting your venue. So the experience is not just for you, it's for everybody. Because if your guests are not happy, you won't be happy. If you choose a venue that is not easily accessible and most of your guests decide not to come simply because the venue, the road leading there is bad, or the area of town is situated is not a good area, you won't be happy. Your hall is half full. Food will waste. Every other thing will waste. So let's consider all of that. Like I said in the beginning, the choice of hall, the choice of venue is very crucial to the success of your event. Those are one of the key points or key areas you need to lock down. Another thing you should consider when selecting your venue is parking space. You are inviting 500 people for your event. Chances are that most of them will drive to that venue. So if you have a venue that can only take 10 cars or 20 cars, like some venues we see in any venue. So all venues should have adequate parking to complement the capacity of their hall. If you say I have a hall for 300 people, you should be able to park at least 100 cars. At least 100 cars. So there should be parking space. That way your guests feel comfortable. Oh, they park their car in the venue. They're not worrying about security. They're not worrying about that's the security of their cars. When they come back, they'll find it where it is. We've had cases where people had to park on the road, and by the time the event was over, they came out and their cars were gone, unfortunately. So those are things you need to consider. Look at a hall, look at a venue, consider parking space. If you have a large guest list, you want people to be able to park. If, for instance, someone is trying to park, you can't find parking in the venue. You are moving around, you cannot find parking. The person gets frustrated and the person leaves. So you will lose like half of your guests because there's no parking. So sometimes it's better to pay more for a venue that has adequate parking and security than to pay for a venue that has none of that in place, just a few parking spaces. So you have the whole smack on the middle of the road with just parking for like 20 or 10 cars. That does not cut it. You should have adequate parking so your guests feel comfortable to enjoy your day with you. A larger parking space is better, but adequate parking is what we are asking for here. Also, venues will say, oh, we can events must last a particular number of hours. They may say, oh, we don't allow alcohol. If you're going to a hotel, for instance, they will tell you, most hotels will tell you that the food and beverage come from the hotel. they don't allow food and beverage from outside the hotel. If you must do that, they will charge you a very high corkage fee, and it will be better if you bought food from them anyway, because you'll be paying too much, way too much. You'll be paying more than double the price just for corkage. And remember, you will still have to hire another caterer. So it doesn't make sense. So know the restrictions before you make a down payment for that venue. If, for instance, they say, oh, we will do XYZ, we provide the services, they come with the hall, fine. If they say, oh, we can't allow pyrotechnics, so you know that it's either you're going to strike that off your own list or you choose another venue. So different venues come with their different restrictions. They may tell you, oh, the caterer cannot do X, Y, Z. They cannot fry on site. If they must do that, they must do it here. Know what the restrictions are. If there are things you can deal with, fine. If there are things you cannot deal with, then you move along. You don't want to have done a down payment on the venue and then you say, okay, what are the restrictions? Oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. Nobody's going to be happy. Nobody likes to lose money unnecessarily. So please find out what the restrictions are, find out what the timing for events, find out if there are additional costs for if your event is going on for when it exceeds the maximum hours allowed by the venue. Find out if you need to pay more on your venue. You also want to find out about power. Unfortunately, we've been able to up our power game in Nigeria. So most venues work with their generators when an event starts. So you use your on gen throughout the event. Find out what their policy is on power. Some venues will tell you that, oh, they will use NEPA light, or PHCN, sorry. They will use PHCN light. When the power goes off, they will switch to generator. When the power comes back on, they will switch to PHCN. But I don't like that because it just gives you some breaks. Those breaks are not nice. So if you're going to pay for a venue, you might as well just go on generated power. Let's just go on generator for the entire duration of the event. It's better. We don't have unnecessary breaks. So imagine if you have a break of maybe like 10 minutes, it's too much. What would we be doing during that downtime? And you know that once a hall is packed, it depletes the cooling. No matter how cool the hall is, it depletes it. So when they're not in the hall, it's the cooling, the chill, you feel the chill more. But once people enter the hall, it starts to deplete. So that just tells you that once the power goes off, it will deplete faster. So we don't want those breaks. Know what their policy is on power. If they're going to use the generator, for how many hours. So again, we're talking about timelines for the event. So the scheduled time, if your decorator is going to work throughout the night, you have to pay X amount of money for diesel, and you're okay with it, fine. If you're not okay with it, then you find an alternative if you must use that venue. There are ways we can go around all of this. That comes with that comes with experience on the job. But like I said, find out all of this so you can make you can be prepared. You can make adequate preparations for different scenarios. If, for instance, you're going to bring in a smaller gen just to power additional light in the hall so that you guys can decorate all night, fine. If not, you may want to pay for diesel so that time they can work before you commit yourself. Also on our list is a waiting room. which these days is very popular. Is one of the requirements that clients have, because let's take, for instance, a wedding. You come back from church, you may not go into the reception immediately, you want to change, or you want to just chill out. Yes, you should be able to do that, not in your car. You should be able to do that in the waiting room. If you want to eat something quickly, you want to be able to do that in the waiting room. If you have personal effects, you want to put that in the waiting room and lock it up. Sometimes you can put souvenirs there, just a space for you, a personal space for you at that venue. So sometimes you have brides changing in the middle of the event. They're not going to change outside. They're not going to change in the bathroom. They're not going to change in the cars. They're going to change in a room. So most venues have that waiting room, because not only for brides, not only for clients, also if you're having a corporate event, if you're having a music show, if you're having a concert, where are you going to keep your artists? They have to be in a waiting room. They're not going to be sitting in the crowd. They're not going to be sitting in their cars. They're not just going to be hanging around the venue. They're going to be in a waiting room, so that if you want to conduct their interviews, just while they're waiting for the next act to finish, you need a waiting room. So those are things you should be looking out for when you are selecting your venue. Safety and security is very, very, very key. I can't even overemphasize it. Most times we bring our own security, but they're unarmed. It's just to check, know what they have put in place to ensure the safety and security of the guest and their possessions. Possessions being their cars, for instance. If I park my car in your parking space, in your parking lot, what are the guarantees that I'm going to meet it back where I parked it? What's the guarantee that, oh, things will not be, like my side mirror will not be nicked, or I will not have some sort of carjacking when I'm coming into my car? All of these things we have to consider. So even if we have a spillover from the inside the venue, we have venues who provide additional security for their surroundings. So if you're parked close to the venue, they have their security people patrolling those areas to make sure that everybody is safe, their things are safe. We want to have, so most venues have a liaison with the police. They can have a van stationed at the venue on the day. They can also have parking attendants in the parking lot to make sure there are no unwanted elements there. If you have a spillover, you also have them patrolling those surroundings to make sure that everybody's car is safe, people are not harassed. When you're having events, unfortunately, you can have some undesirable elements hanging around the perimeter. So you want to have security in the venue and not harassed. If I park my car, say just a couple of meters from, I know that I can walk conveniently to the venue without anybody harassing me. So we want to know where what kind of security you have in place. Also, we want to know about exits. We want to know about safety precautions like fire extinguishers and all of that. Some venues don't have that. They don't see the need. And it's still shocking when you have that conversation and like, oh no, we don't pray for that. Nobody prays for an emergency. Nobody prays for an emergency. So when you hear someone with that kind of mindset, my advice is to run, because there's nothing you're going to say to them that's going to change their mind. So fire alarms, emergency escape routes, you want to check that all of this is in place. God forbid you have an emergency. You do not want to have a stampede. If a fire alarm goes off, you want to know that there's a muster point. People see that Sometimes venues have briefings, they have safety briefings just before the event starts. Then again, even if you don't have that with the larger crowd, you can have that with the event planner and the team, so they can help to guide people towards the exits so that there's no stampede. So please check with your venue. If these things have to come at an additional cost, like for instance, if you want to have extra parking attendants, if you need to pay for that, know what cost you're going to be incurring so that all of these go into your budget. You do not want to just gloss over all of this and on that day, be like, okay, are we not having parking attendants at this end or at that end? And they tell you, oh man, that's going to cost extra money, and you are not prepared for that. You don't want any of that. Your day is supposed to run smoothly. So all of these details should be taken care of before your event starts. Next on our list, and then again, for security, you want to find out if they have CCTV. That can also help. Unfortunately, some undesirable elements can get into a venue. They may be invited, and then they go stealing phones, stealing cameras and stuff, stealing purses. So CCTVs can help, closed circuit monitoring cameras can help you to fish out these undesirable elements. So when your venue has that, that's an added advantage for your clients and for your guests. Then number 12 on our list is the ambience. The overall ambience of a hall is the first thing you see when you get in there. So you want to go into the hall, you always need to go inspect personally. So don't look on the website, it's fine, but go into the venue and assess it. You want to see whether your decor design goes with your venue. Like I said in the beginning, a venue can set the tone for a whole lot of stuff, like decor. If you've seen the venue that you want that fits all your requirements, and that fits all your requirements, and it doesn't really tally with the decor design you have in place, you can tweak your decor design to go with the hall. So if, for instance, you have a beautiful ceiling, there's no need to drape it. There's no need to drape it. So you want to make sure that all of this tie in. Your venue ties in with your number of guests. The ambience you are seeing can help you. So if you have a lot of lights, then you don't need to bring in extra lights. If you have it painted in a certain color and doesn't go with your decor, you may consider blinding off some areas or all of it. You need to see what it is that you are doing. You need to see what you're with so that you can bring out the very best in that venue, and your decor will look spanking. So please visit the venue, look at it. There's some venues that maybe the walls don't look nice, maybe outside. You can wall it off. Wall it off, you can drape it off, you can blind it with drapes, or you can put a nice banner there, which can also double as your photo area. So please look at everything in the venue. What's the architecture like? What is the interior like? And then marry it with your decor design. You don't want to be caught unawares. Okay, then what's other, number 13 on our list, venue utilities. So do you have lights? Do you have to bring in lights? Now, very popular, very trendy now are the LED lights. Do you have all of this in place? If you need to bring additional lights, fine. If you don't need to, fantastic. But just know what it is that the venue is offering. What's the audiovisual, what's the sound like? Most venues have their own sound so that people come, just plug in. It's easier that way. You know that standard sound, and your DJ or your band just needs to plug in. What is the cooling system like? How the AC is functioning? Do you have chillers? Do you have a cold room? You want to find out what they're offering, what extras they're offering. Do you have LED screens? Do you have projector and screens? Whatever your requirement is, please ask so that you know if they can provide that, if they're providing it at a cost, or if it comes to the venue. Some venues will tell you, I have these different chairs. If you're taking this, the cost will be this. If you're taking this chairs with the venue, your cost will be this. So you need to find out and have that conversation with the venue manager. Make sure that you guys are on the same page as to what you want and what the plans for your venue are. So things, sound, LED screens, lighting, cooling. So if you have a venue that has a cold room, so that eliminates you going to hire drums or chillers or a cooling truck. So it saves you money. All of these things are crucial because in the end, I like to give my clients that extraordinary experience on the lowest budget possible. So when you see ways to lower your budget, ways to cut your budget, fine, you should take it. So if you had planned, if you have budgeted for extra light, for example, and this hall is giving you adequate lighting, fantastic. If you had budgeted for a cooling truck and they're giving you a cold room to chill your drinks in the cost of the hall, fantastic. So these are additional stuff. If you don't have to rent a screen to project images on that day, fantastic. So you have just cut your budget in 3 areas. And no, everybody loves a discount. Everybody loves a discount. Your clients will love you for that. Another thing you have to consider are the acoustics of the venue. It's just basically how sound travels around through the venue. You want to hear clean sound. You want to make sure that whatever, even if it's a band or a DJ, the sound balances. It's not crazy. So a low ceiling will make the venue seem cozy, but it will not make it louder if it's packed. It will make it louder if it's packed. So there are different things you need to consider. So if you have a really big venue, and you don't want people to be straining their ears to hear sound, simply because the acoustics are not balanced and sound is traveling, it's up all about the place, it's just bouncing off everywhere. So you need to, even if you don't have that ear, you need your sound person to come take a look. Then they'll be able to advise you properly. So know that every single detail will help you to get that perfect event which you are planning towards. If you have an event where the sound is all over the place, nobody's going to feel happy. Maybe to project here and nobody can hear here. That's just going to be the focus, and that's not what you want. The layout of the event center. Some event centers are funny. They are not. So for me, an ideal layout would be like a warehouse kind of stuff. So straight up, it's just clean. You see the stage here. You know you can put XYZ here on which corner. Well, it's good for you during your planning process to have a rough idea of what type of activities you're going to be having, so you are able to plan out, see if that venue will accommodate all of this. So if you're going to have a dance floor, you want to map that out. If you're going to have 30 banquet tables, map it out. Know that you have adequate space for all of this. That way, and your venue manager can also show you floor plans where they've used in the past. So you can see where different things are located. Do we still have space for every other item that we have on our list? Yes. You want to know what the layout is. And this same floor plan, you can show to your clients. So if they're present, fine. If they're not, show them what the layout will be, show them how it will work towards what your plan is. So if you're going to have 4 service points, for example, you can fit all those 4 service points in there, fit in your lounge, fit in your dance floor. Fantastic. So your layouts, the layouts that you have, you need to be able to put it inside that venue. So if that space will not work for you, then please say bye to that venue and go to the next one. So, well, when narrowing down your selection, you want to get an illustrated floor plan, like I said earlier. Get that floor plan and make sure that everything works according to what you want. Yes, then make sure you have, sorry, excuse me, a good flow of traffic so that, excuse me, even if you have a nice parking space, you need to have free flow of traffic. Let those routes be clearly marked so that you're not having traffic jam inside a venue. It doesn't make any sense. So that way, people can't just leave freely. You have to wait for this person or this person or this person. Make sure that, first of all, things are packed. They are packed properly. And then again, you want to check, apart from the parking space, you want to also check that you can use different exits for different events. So we're not only talking about birthdays or social parties, you also have corporate events, maybe like a conference. How do we get people in and out, like for registration, for instance? So we have an exit door, we have an entrance door. We want to make sure that there's free flow of traffic everywhere and everything is seamless. Those things are the things you have to keep in mind when choosing your venue. Every event has its different requirements. An event venue that's okay for a social event may not be so great for a corporate event or a concert. So you want to bear in mind all these little details while you're choosing your venue. So, okay, event activities. You want to have keynote speakers at your events. You need a stage. So if they don't have a stage, you may want to bring in one. Just find out what they have. The little details. Do they have mics? Do they have podiums? Do they have lecterns? You want to find out all of this. Is there an area designated? There are some venues that have designated bar areas. So you see the high tops, a designated bar area. Or you want to build yours, bring in a bar. Just ask all these little details. Emergency exits are very key. Some venues have one exit. I know that I had an issue with a venue some years back, and I said, okay, how many exits do you have? It says we have 3 exits, but we only use 1. And I said, okay, why? Don't want people to be passing the doors and damage the doors. I'm like, I don't really understand. Please, I need at least 2 exits. At least 2 exits. I said, if there's a stampede, if there's a fire, if there's an emergency, what happens? No, I have the key. The guy told me he has the key and that he will. I said, look, if there's an emergency, you will be the first to run, forgetting that you have the key. So please keep these doors open. You know, I made such a fuss that my client, he used to work in Shell, so you know that their HSC policies are really top notch. So he was like, no. I will not pay for the hall if I'm not going to have these 2 exits open. So the guy now later gave in and made sure the doors were open. And when for these emergency exits, they should be clearly marked, and please do not obstruct those exits. Why am I saying obstruct? With your decor. Don't go put a table in front of those exits. Don't put a table there. So if you have a venue that has emergency exits at the sides, make sure they are clear for people to exit the building if there's an emergency, please. Nobody prays for an emergency, but please, we have to be cautious and we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. Saying it's not my portion does not work. It will not save you in the event of an emergency. So please make sure that you have adequate exits at the venue. You have, they're clearly marked, and you don't obstruct with your decor. I know it's tempting if you have 300 guests and you say, okay, there's one last space for one last table, and that's where the emergency exit is. Please don't do that. It's safer for you to add an extra chair on other tables than to put a table and block your emergency exit. So you also want to look at the venue history. Some venues are not, they're good, they look nice and all of that, but their customer service is very poor. So you want to check out how they relate with customers. You have that one-on-one conversation with them, have speak to your colleagues in the industry. There are some venues that we've blacklisted because they do not offer good customer service. Once you've paid your money, they don't even care. Getting them to set up the chairs and table is an uphill task. Getting them to clean when they should is another problem. You know, they just give you really poor service, no support. You want to know that this venue, in terms of staff, in terms of quality of service delivery, that they are top notch, because you don't want, that's one less headache to worry about. So check out their history, check out stuff that's been done there, pictures and all of that can help you as well. Okay, we'll talk about venue staff. So if, for instance, you're having your venue, if you're having your event in a neutral venue, you want to know you want to see their staff, because some of the staff are moving around. Make sure that they're properly dressed, please. And also make sure that, like, for instance, the cleaners, electricians, maybe plumbers should be on standby. And please let them be properly dressed. You don't want people like going, some guests seeing people and they're apprehensive, as in, who's this person? Because the person is not well dressed. People are apprehensive about this kind of stuff. So if it's a hotel, please make sure that their waiters are nicely dressed, because chances are that you'll be using them for your food and beverage. So make sure that they're properly dressed. They are courteous, they're friendly, they attend to people nicely and professionally. So please, those are things you should consider. Well, 18, venue inspection is a no-brainer. You have to go inspect your venue. Inspect your venue with your client and with your event decorator. Any other person. So I always ask for, so when I'm looking for a venue, I go there, I see the venue. Most of the venues now, I know them, so I know which is good for what. But you also want to take your event decorator there. Make sure that your decor design will suit perfectly with the hall. You don't want any mistakes that day, any hitches. Just make sure that you go to the venue. If there are any things you notice that are not in place, report it and let it be sorted. When you have paid, make sure that you have regular meetings. When you have your vendors meetings, please have them in your venue. You can have in your office, fine, but you should also have them in the venue, so that if anybody has any concerns, the concerns of your caterer, you may not immediately know them, except when they come. So if, for instance, your bartender or your mixologist is saying, oh, this is where I'm going to position, but I need power at this particular spot, you can either change the person's position or speak to the venue and they can get you extension. So when you get your extensions, you can connect power to your vendor. These are just little things you should know. 2 days, 3 days before the events, please use the facilities. Know what's going on. When you come to do setup, see that everything is working. You want to do your checks, sound check, light check, sanitary. You want to go to the toilets and just make sure everything is working well. You don't want to come see the next morning, or one toilet has flooded since the day before. If only you had checked, that would have been fixed faster if the venue doesn't notice. So please be the nosy planner, go everywhere and check everything is working perfectly. So same goes with the ACs, same goes with the lighting, the elevators if they have. Just make sure that everything is working perfectly. You need to know from your venue how often they check the toilets, how often they refresh toilet paper, how often they, like I said, cleaners should be on the staff list for your event day. Cleaners, electricians, plumbers, please, they need to be on standby to help you that day. You also want to find out what their payment and cancellation policies are. Don't just go and pay blindly. Know how much it costs. Know how, if you can break the payment, maybe they insist on a one-off payment or an initial deposit. Know when each payment is due, if they can allow you break the payment. And also the cancellation policy. Anything can happen. Know what it is, if you can get your money back in full, what time, and know what the timelines are for this collection. There are some venues who will give you a percentage of your money if you come at a particular time. Some will give you a full refund if it's way before the event. If you cancel in the week of your event, you may be losing all your money. So please know what their cancellation policies are and make sure that your client is okay with it before you make a commitment, please. Yes, because anything can happen, life can happen. And okay, cleaning. That's number 20 on our list. Cleaning, you want to know, like I said before, I want to know that there are cleaners on duty on that day. But you also want to know whose responsibility is what. Some venues do not have cleaners. They do not have cleaners. So you want to check and make sure that the cleaners, you want to check and make sure that the cleaners are on duty. If they have cleaners, fine. If they don't have cleaners, then make provision for that. People who are going to clean on that day. After the event, some venues will say, no, you clean. So this may be something part of the contract. You know that it's your responsibility and put that in your budget. If they have cleaners, fine. After the event, you're home and dry, you're off, they clean. But if, for instance, it's a venue, maybe like an outdoor venue, and they like say, okay, when you are done, we don't have cleaners here. You provide your cleaning staff, you know you have to do that and have a budget for that. Make sure that is in place. Make sure that it is cleaned properly before and after. If you don't clean before, if it's your responsibility to do so, make sure it's done. If it's the venue's responsibility to do so, make sure it's done as well. Some cleaners can be very lax. Okay, I will do it. No, you have to be on them. Whoever the supervisor is, insist on a certain time for the venue to be cleaned. You do not want them cleaning when people are coming in. That's a no-no, please. Everything should be done way before your event starts. So please, if it's your responsibility to clean it and you've already contracted to do that, please keep your end of the bargain. Get the cleaners and clean that venue, especially if it's an outdoor venue, maybe for instance, like in Port Harcourt, those of you in Port Harcourt, the Port Harcourt Polo Club, they will tell you that, okay, you guys clean afterwards. Please clean it. If not, you'll be messing up their venue, which is not nice. So please, in all of this, have your plan in hand. If you are going to contract cleaners, please do so. If your venue is going to clean, make sure that they do so as well. Finally, here are a few tips when you're finding when clients, the event needs, your reputation will suffer. So please don't go there. Then you also have some shortcuts when you're looking for venues. So you can do the whole long research, different venues and all of that. That comes with experience, that comes with the years. If you're a newbie starting up, you can go to your local business bureau or your local directory if you have in that region. Like in Port Harcourt, you can go to FASIMA, which is our Chamber of Commerce, for XYZ businesses, or apps that help you with finding venues. For etc., find similar they host events, so they can help you with venue finding. In Nigeria, you have things like Oga Venue, you have things like Venue Hero City, just like that. So you have all the different venues, you know what their capacity is, you see the pictures, you see everything. So it's easier for you to narrow down your choices. That way you can now say, okay, I've now chosen 3, and then you can go visit them physically. So using online tools is very helpful. They help you pass through the many venues to find the one that's right for you. So take your time and do your due diligence. Thank you. I hope you learned a thing or two. So we'll go straight into questions. Okay. So I have questions here. So please, who takes responsibility for any major damage done? Most venues will take that responsibility, because if, for instance, except it's something major that happened, like there was a fight or somebody purposely broke a glass door or something, most venues they take that hit. They take that responsibility, yes. Someone says, I had a client who said she had a dream venue, but by the time we had a final budget in place, I found out we would not be able to afford the venue, and she was ready to cut off other really important things just to be able to use the venue. Please, what do I do with such clients? Because it was obvious in general, a houseboy, a house girl. So listen to what your client wants and find a way to make the other aspects still look top quality. When you get a really good venue, so if you cut down, say for instance, on food, so let your client know that, okay, so we can cut down on our guest list as well. Those are things we should be considering. So have that venue, then we can also tweak the budget in the other areas. But if it is something that's going to mar the event, for instance, there's maybe the venue, this dream venue doesn't have XYZ things that's going to cost some additional stuff, draw their attention to it so that they understand that they're not actually saving money. They're going to be incurring more costs. Just try and make it work to the best of your ability. That is why your client has chosen you. Good afternoon, everyone. Some clients go ahead to pay for a venue, or even family members pay to support them. And when you sit with the client, you realize they have paid for a hall too small for their intended guest size. What do I do to fix such issues? Okay, so you have 2 things. Venue is already paid for. They can decide if they want, they can decide to cut down their guest list, or If it's a gift, so that's a bit dicey. If it's a gift, you can't, it's not nice to go back to say, oh, I want to change the guest list. Speak to your client about that. So venues can provide for spillovers by having additional covering outside. Then you just know that you want to project the images from inside the hall and also set up a food station outside. So just make sure, just make it work. Give your clients all the options available and let them make their choice. Someone says, a venue manager once called a week to my event to inform me that his CEO had earlier received payment for the same hall with dates I booked and paid for without informing him. Oh my God. They were ready to make a refund and pay compensation. It was a huge mess because our invites were already out. Please, what can be done? Yes, you can sue because that's that's as a result of their own negligence. They have a register. They have a calendar. So this is now damage control. You sent out your invites already. Go immediately and start looking for another venue. Try your best, get another venue. They pay for it, they pay the compensation. Then you can now do broadcasts to your guests. Just tell them of a change of venue. You can also put that in your program. If it's not already been information, or because, for instance, what if the venue burns down? You have to find an alternative. So your best bet, look for another venue, communicate that information to your client, to your guests as best as you can. Text messages, different stuff. Text messages, WhatsApp messages, emails, then have flyers in your program, different stuff. So there's a way. There's always a way. So just speak to your client and see what best works for them, and we'll be good. Okay. Oh, I see a comment from Auntie Jules. Thank you, Auntie. Okay. So we're almost gone past the hour. I hope I've been able to answer all your questions adequately. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I hope you've learned a thing or two. And remember, you too can be an octopus. Just ask me how. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.